Hey there, sleepyheads! Welcome back to the channel! Before we drift into tonight's tale of XYZ, I'd love to know where in the world are you watching from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. Alright, lights low, blankets up, let's begin! Think about the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. Most of us imagine the lush rolling hills of Green Hill Zone, the glowing waterfalls of Angel Island, or perhaps the futuristic chaos of Eggman space stations. These are places we can map in our minds, places tied to the geography of Sonic's universe. But then, there's something else, something stranger, something that doesn't seem to belong to the world we know. A place that bends its own rules, where gravity twists, colors shimmer in impossible ways, and time itself feels dreamlike. These are the special stages, the mysterious spaces hidden between the familiar landscapes of Mobius. From the very first Sonic game in 1991, special stages set themselves apart. You might remember the feeling of stepping through a giant ring at the end of an act, only to be pulled into a spinning, kaleidoscopic labyrinth. Suddenly, the clear geometry of Green Hill vanished. The background pulsed with vibrant blues, reds and purples, twisting and turning as if the world itself had fallen into a dream. The floor rotated beneath Sonic. Crystals sparkled in strange patterns, and the goal was unlike anything else in the game. Find the Chaos Emerald, not by speed or platforming alone, but by navigating this shifting puzzle world. That first encounter left players with questions. Why did the special stage look so different from the rest of Sonic's world? Where exactly was Sonic going when he stepped through that portal-like giant ring? And most importantly, why were the Chaos Emeralds always waiting inside? The special stages are like secret chambers, but not ones built by Eggman or carved into mountains. They feel detached, as if Sonic is leaving his own world and stepping into something more abstract. Something that might exist only in moments of connection with the Chaos Emeralds. In fact, the earliest special stages almost resemble the kind of shifting dream a child might have after staring too long at stained glass or colored lights. They carry that surreal, half-real quality, like drifting off to sleep and finding yourself floating in a kaleidoscope. Part of their mystery comes from their contrast. In the regular game world, Sonic is grounded in nature or technology, forests, cities, ruins, or Eggman's bases. But when he crosses into a special stage, all of that context dissolves. It's no longer about place. It's about sensation. The rotating maze of Sonic 1, the endless half-pipe of Sonic 2, the checkerboard sphere world of Sonic 3 Knuckles. All of them seem less like physical environments and more like visions or tests conjured for Sonic to prove himself worthy of the emeralds. There's a quiet poetry in that design choice. The special stages suggest that the Chaos Emeralds are not simply lying around in the world, waiting to be picked up like trinkets. Instead, they're guarded, hidden away in dimensions or illusions that only reveal themselves to those who find the gateways. The big rings in Sonic 3, the star-shaped goals in Sonic 2, they're like doors, but not to places we can point to on a map. They're doors inward, or perhaps upward, into realms beyond ordinary understanding. And what a contrast they make in terms of atmosphere. Take a moment to imagine it. You've been racing through Green Hill, the wind rushing past, the familiar loops and ramps beneath your feet. You leap through a giant golden ring, and instantly, the world quiets. Suddenly, you're drifting in an endless rotating chamber, as if suspended in glass. The colors are bold, almost hypnotic, and the music, slower, dreamier, wraps around you. It feels like stepping from wakefulness into a dream, from the noise of the outside world into the calm strangeness of the mind's inner landscapes. It's this transition that makes special stages so fascinating. They aren't just gameplay gimmicks. They're moments of transformation, interruptions in Sonic's journey that suggest something bigger is going on behind the scenes. They whisper of a universe that is layered, with the everyday world on one surface and hidden dream realms lurking just beyond. Over the years, fans have debated their meaning. Are they pocket dimensions, little universes folded inside Mobius? Are they illusions conjured by the emeralds themselves to test whoever seeks their power? Or are they gateways, ancient paths left behind by a civilization that understood the emeralds far better than Sonic ever could? The truth may never be fully clear, but that mystery is part of the magic. Even within the story itself, Sonic rarely pauses to explain them. He doesn't seem confused when he steps through those golden portals. He doesn't question why he floats in impossible half-pipes or runs along checkerboard globes suspended in infinity. To him, it's simply part of the journey, an unspoken rule of his world. The emeralds are hidden, and to reach them, one must pass through these strange tests. For us, though, as observers, the questions linger. Why are they there? Who or what built them? And why do they take such otherworldly forms? The first game alone gave us enough to wonder about for decades. The rotating labyrinth wasn't just strange, it was unique in the way it bent the rules of space. Sonic couldn't control the rotation itself. Instead, he tilted the world, almost as if his presence caused the environment to respond. That detail alone has sparked endless interpretations. Maybe Sonic isn't moving through a space at all, but instead navigating a shifting illusion projected by the emerald's energy. Or maybe the special stage is alive in some sense, adjusting itself in response to his movements. What we know for certain is this. From the beginning, the special stages were designed to feel mysterious, surreal, and just a little bit magical. They remind us that Sonic's adventures aren't only about speed or landscapes. They're about hidden layers, secret dimensions, and the wonder of discovering what lies just beyond the ordinary. As the Sonic series expanded, so too did the imagination behind the special stages. Each new game added fresh layers to their mystery, painting them as more than just bonus levels. They became a tradition, a kind of ritual. Every adventure through Mobius carried with it the promise of stepping beyond the ordinary world into the surreal realms of light and sound. Take Sonic 2, for example. The special stages shifted dramatically in tone. Gone was the rotating crystal labyrinth of the first game. Instead, players found themselves racing down an infinite half-pipe, walls bending and curving as Sonic dashed forward. It was dizzying, exhilarating, and oddly detached from the landscapes of Westside Island. You couldn't find a half-pipe like this in the forests or cities of Mobius. It existed only in that shimmering elsewhere, summoned when Sonic touched the sparkling checkpoint stars. But there was something even more curious about these stages, their focus on teamwork. In single-player mode, Tails followed Sonic through the half-pipe, sometimes helping, sometimes tripping up the run. In multiplayer, two players shared the space, side by side. It gave the special stage a social quality, as if the emeralds themselves were testing not just skill, but harmony between allies. Was this intentional within the lore? We may never know. But it suggests that the special stages in some mysterious way, adjust to the journey, becoming more than just static puzzles. By the time Sonic 3 Knuckles arrived, the special stages had grown even stranger. Here, the giant golden rings hidden throughout Angel Island acted as doorways to another plane altogether. Passing through one, Sonic or Knuckles found themselves on the surface of a vast checkerboard globe. The world stretched endlessly in all directions, wrapping around itself like a small planet. Red spheres threatened elimination, while blue spheres became the path to success. It was hypnotic, almost meditative, a rhythm of turning corners, gathering orbs, and gradually transforming the world beneath your feet. The design raised new questions. Why did the special stage resemble a miniature planet? Why spheres, of all things? And why were these giant rings found specifically in the ruins and jungles of Angel Island? Was there a connection between the floating island's ancient civilization and the gateways to these strange realms? The fact that Knuckles, as guardian of the Master Emerald, could also enter them only deepened the mystery. Perhaps these special stages weren't just conjured illusions, but sacred spaces, echoes of an ancient bond between Mobius and the power of the Chaos Emeralds. Even outside of the mainline games, the special stages kept evolving in ways that fueled speculation. Sonic CD, for instance, gave us a stage unlike anything before. Sonic ran freely across a 3D plane, chasing UFOs through a dreamlike world where time seemed to loop in bizarre cycles. The environments were more colorful, more otherworldly than ever, and the reward this time was not Chaos Emeralds, but time stones, artifacts that seemed to bend history itself. The implication was startling. Special stages weren't tied only to one type of gem. They could be portals to treasures of entirely different natures, suggesting their function was larger than anyone realized. There's a kind of storytelling hidden within these stages, even if unspoken. Each version feels tailored to its era, yet always bound to the same mysterious thread, that stepping into a special stage means leaving behind what is known and stepping into the abstract. They're not like hidden caves or secret bases. They're closer to dreamscapes, spaces that bend to match the challenge of the moment. In a way, they remind us of myths, tests set by the gods, trials that one must pass before claiming divine gifts. And in Sonic's world, the Chaos Emeralds are nothing if not divine. The consistency across games is striking. No matter the form, half-pipes, globes, mazes, or UFO chases, the special stages are never normal. They never resemble anything found in Mobius's forests, deserts, or cities. They're always separate, always carved from dreamlike rules that differ from the waking world. And each time Sonic enters, he does so without hesitation, as if it's second nature to him. That in itself is a fascinating detail. Does Sonic understand what these stages are? Does he sense their connection to the emeralds, even if the player is left guessing? Fans often describe the feeling of entering a special stage as stepping through a curtain. The curtain of reality pulls back, and for a brief moment, we glimpse something deeper, something hidden. It's as though Mobius itself is layered, with the familiar world on the surface and these strange pocket realms woven underneath. Every time Sonic collects enough rings or leaps through a giant portal, the curtain parts again, granting another glimpse into this hidden order. And maybe that's what makes them so enchanting. Unlike Eggman's bases, which can be destroyed, or landscapes that can be mapped, the special stages resist explanation. They remain untouched, unbroken, eternal. Whether they're illusions, dimensions, or gateways, they exist outside the cycle of battles and victories. Even when the emeralds are collected, the stages remain, waiting for the next seeker brave enough or curious enough to step inside. It's easy to forget, after years of speeding through loops and battling robots, that Sonic's world is not just about the physical, it's about the mystical too. The emeralds remind us of that, and the special stages are their guardians. They whisper that there are still secrets in Mobius, still mysteries that cannot be solved with speed alone. And as long as Sonic's journey continues, those shimmering doorways will continue to open, inviting us to wonder where exactly they lead and why they exist at all. What makes the special stages so enchanting isn't only their appearance, it's the way they feel. There's a shift in atmosphere that happens the moment you enter one, a sense of stepping out of the ordinary and into something deeper. It's as though the world of Sonic holds its breath, and suddenly you are no longer running across grass and stone, but gliding through visions stitched together from colors and light. Consider the music. In almost every Sonic game, the special stage theme feels different from the rest of the soundtrack. Where the main zones are fast, upbeat, and bursting with energy, the special stage tracks are hypnotic, looping, almost trance-like. The very first special stage in Sonic 1 had a dreamlike tune that spiraled around the rotating maze, echoing the movement of the stage itself. By Sonic 2, the half-pipe was accompanied by pulsing rhythms that pushed you forward, like the heartbeat of a strange new dimension. And in Sonic CD, the UFO chase stages were backed by sounds that felt alien and surreal, underscoring the idea that you were chasing objects outside of normal reality. This use of sound plays a huge role in their mystery. It's not just about challenge or design. It's about immersing you in a headspace where the rules are different. The music almost tells you, this is not the world you know. You are somewhere else now. And then, of course, there's the way you enter these stages. The method of entry has always carried symbolic weight. In Sonic 1, you had to reach the end of a stage with 50 rings, leaping through a giant golden ring that appeared like a portal. Rings in Sonic are tied to life, to energy, to protection. To collect so many and then leap into an even greater ring feels almost ritualistic, as though Sonic is offering his gathered energy back to the world in exchange for a chance at something higher. In Sonic 2, the entry shifted to checkpoints, sparkling stars hovering above the ground. Collect enough rings and touch them, and the stars would pull you into the half-pipe. There's something dreamlike about that as well, like slipping into sleep beneath a sky full of starlight, drifting upward into another realm. The stars aren't just markers, they're beacons guiding Sonic to the emeralds. And in Sonic 3 Knuckles, the golden rings returned, hidden in secret corners of Angel Island. They were massive, larger than Sonic himself, shimmering with a glow that suggested ancient power. Passing through, one felt like being absorbed into the emerald's history, stepping into a gateway used by those who had come long before. The placement of these rings, tucked away in ruins, temples, and sacred spaces, wasn't random. It whispered of an ancient culture that had hidden them there deliberately, perhaps as guardians of the emerald's true nature. The act of entry is part of the special stage's mystery, because it suggests that they aren't simply accessible at will. They require effort, intention, and discovery. They demand something of the player before granting passage. This makes them feel less like levels and more like sacred trials. You don't just stumble into a special stage, you earn it, and the emeralds only reveal themselves once you've proven your worth. This ritualistic quality makes the special stages almost mythological in nature. In myths across cultures, heroes are often tested before they can claim sacred treasures. They descend into underworlds, climb impossible mountains, or pass through enchanted forests. In Sonic's case, the special stages fill this role. They are his underworlds, his enchanted forests, his mythic trials. And though they appear in the form of colorful half-pipes or checkerboard planets, the feeling is the same. This is a place of testing, where the worthy claim power and the unworthy fall short. Another fascinating detail is how these stages ignore the normal flow of time. When Sonic enters a special stage, the act is immediate. One moment he is running, the next he is elsewhere. And when he returns, it's as though no time has passed at all. He is exactly where he left, ready to continue his journey. This suggests that special stages might not exist in the same timeline as Mobius at all. They could be outside of time, existing in a kind of suspended dream. That would explain why Sonic never seems disoriented afterward, because to him, the experience might have been instantaneous, like a moment of vision or meditation. There's also the matter of failure. If Sonic fails in a special stage, the emerald vanishes, but only from that attempt. The emerald itself still exists, waiting to be found again in another trial. This implies that the special stages aren't fixed, physical locations. They're more like recurring opportunities, trials that will reappear until they are successfully completed. In mythic terms, they are tests of destiny. If one fails, destiny simply presents the trial again until the hero is ready to succeed. All of this deepens their aura of mystery. They are not places you can visit on a map. They don't leave ruins behind when they vanish. They don't obey the physics of the world Sonic runs through. They are pure symbols made manifest, doorways, trials, illusions, and rewards. And they are always linked to the most powerful objects in the Sonic universe, the emeralds. When we look back, it becomes clear that the developers wanted special stages to feel like something apart, something beyond the reach of explanation. In a world full of robots, loops, and springs, they gave us dreamscapes, surreal puzzles, and endless questions. It's that contrast that makes them so memorable. They remind us, with every shimmering portal and swirling color, that there are mysteries in Sonic's world that may never be fully solved. And perhaps that's the point. The special stages aren't just about gameplay. They're about wonder. They are the series' quiet reminder that even in a universe of speed and battles, there is still magic, still hidden layers waiting to be discovered, still secrets that invite us to dream. Perhaps what makes the special stages endure in memory is their strangeness, yet also their beauty. They are not designed to feel like obstacles placed by Eggman, nor like natural landscapes carved by rivers or mountains. They are something other, something that feels eternal. It's as if they existed long before Sonic's adventures began and will continue long after. When you picture them, those kaleidoscopic rotations, the endless half-pipes, the checkerboard worlds, you're reminded not of geography, but of dreams. Dreams often weave together pieces of memory, light and sound, into places that seem real, yet dissolve when you try to grasp them. Special stages are like that. They leave impressions, feelings, and mysteries, but never answers. And perhaps that is why they hold such a powerful place in the imagination of players. They give us the sense that Mobius is layered, that behind every loop and hill, behind every battle with Eggman, there are deeper truths waiting just out of reach. Sonic's speed may conquer robots and landscapes, but even he must slow down and focus when it comes to the Emerald's trials. These moments remind us that strength isn't only measured in momentum, but in patience, clarity, and calm persistence. Imagine, for a moment, Sonic stepping through one of those golden rings on Angel Island. The jungle sounds fade, the air grows still. For a brief instant, the world seems to hold its breath, and then, all at once, the checkerboard planet stretches before him. The air hums with quiet energy. Glowing orbs scatter across the horizon. There are no enemies here, no machines, only the stage itself, alive and watchful. Every step Sonic takes changes the world, turning blue spheres into red or gold, reshaping the field around him. It is less like a battle, and more like a ritual dance, a rhythm Sonic must complete before the Emerald will reveal itself. In this way, the special stages are not just challenges, but reflections of Sonic himself. His journeys are full of motion and chaos, yet the Emeralds ask for something different. Focus, awareness, and a willingness to step into the unknown. The Emeralds, through these stages, are almost speaking. They ask, "Are you ready for the power we carry? Can you see beyond the rush of the everyday into the deeper layers of reality?" The answer, of course, is found not in words, but in the act of completing the trial. When Sonic succeeds, the Emeralds are his. When he fails, the chance slips away, but not forever. Another doorway will open, another dream will be offered. The cycle continues, as though destiny itself is patient, willing to wait until the seeker is ready. Over time, these patterns create a mythos of their own. Fans begin to wonder, are the special stages alive? Are they constructs of the Emerald's will, or echoes of an ancient people who built gateways to protect them? Could it be that each version of the special stage, whether a maze, a half-pipe, or a globe, represents a different interpretation, a different mask, worn by the same eternal force, like dreams that change from night to night, but always carry the same hidden meaning? There is something comforting in that thought. Just as our dreams shift with our moods and experiences, so too might the special stages shift with each era of Sonic's journey. Yet beneath the shifting shapes, the essence remains the same: a test, a mystery, a glimpse beyond the veil. Even in later games, when technology allowed for more elaborate designs, the special stages never lost this quality. They remained detached, almost sacred, always carrying with them the quiet sense of otherness. Players could feel it instinctively that these weren't just bonus challenges thrown in for fun. They were woven into the fabric of Sonic's universe, reminders that behind the speed and battles, something greater pulsed in the background. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this: Sonic never questions them. He never pauses to ask what they are, or why they exist. To him, they are as natural as loops in the ground, or rings in the air. He accepts them without hesitation, stepping into their portals with confidence. It is only we, the observers, who are left to puzzle over their meaning. Sonic, in his simplicity, teaches us a lesson: that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but experienced. As players, though, we continue to wonder: are the special stages pocket dimensions folded like origami inside the universe? Are they illusions conjured directly into Sonic's mind by the Emeralds themselves? Or are they ancient gateways, remnants of a forgotten civilization that once wielded the Emerald's power? Each theory has its appeal. Each fits the pieces in a slightly different way, and yet none can fully explain the feeling of standing inside one. with colors swirling, music echoing, and the emerald shining at the end of the path. Maybe the truth is that the special stages are all three at once: dimensions, illusions, and gateways. They could be pockets of reality shaped by the emerald's energy, appearing as visions to those who enter, yet rooted in ancient connections that span the history of Mobius. They are mysteries layered upon mysteries, a dream wrapped in a riddle, guarded by silence. And in that silence, in that lack of explanation, lies their power. Because the special stages remind us that not everything in a story needs to be solved. Sometimes it is enough to step into the unknown, to feel the awe of colors and patterns swirling around you, to hear the hypnotic music and chase after a gem that glimmers just out of reach. Sometimes the mystery itself is the gift. So when we look back on Sonic's journeys, we remember not just the battles and the victories, but the moments of stillness, the dreamlike detours into places that didn't belong to the waking world. We remember the special stages, not for their answers, but for their questions, for the way they made us pause, wonder, and believe that somewhere, just beyond the edge of what we know, there are realms of mystery waiting to be explored. And with that, the curtain closes on our first mystery, the special stages, eternal dreamscapes, neither here nor there, yet always waiting for those who seek the power of the emeralds. Segment 2, the pocket dimension. If the special stages truly are more than illusions, then one of the most enduring theories is that they exist as pocket dimensions, tiny universes folded inside the greater fabric of Mobius. Like bubbles floating in a vast sea, these dimensions would be separate, self-contained, yet still tethered to the world Sonic knows. It makes a strange kind of sense. When Sonic leaps into a giant golden ring, or touches a sparkling star checkpoint, he doesn't simply warp across the map. He vanishes, stepping out of Mobius and into a realm that doesn't obey the same rules. The background spin, the geometry twists, and space itself seems alive. These are not the hallmarks of a physical place. They are the signs of a dimension designed for something else entirely. The idea of pocket dimensions is not new in storytelling. Across myths, science fiction, and fantasy, writers have long imagined hidden spaces tucked inside the folds of reality. They might be treasure vaults, prisons, or sanctuaries, but the principle is always the same. They exist beyond ordinary reach. In Sonic's case, the special stages may serve as such vaults, carefully designed to house the Chaos Emeralds and keep them out of the wrong hands. Think of Sonic 1. The rotating crystal labyrinth doesn't resemble anything in Mobius. It's not a mountain cave, not a temple, not a city. It's pure abstraction, a chamber of shifting glass and gems. If this were part of Mobius, someone would have stumbled across it. Eggman, with all his machines, would have mined it out long ago. But no, these places only appear when Sonic enters through the proper gateway. That alone suggests they exist apart, only accessible by bending the boundaries of space. Then consider Sonic 2's half-pipe. Where on Mobius could such a structure exist? An endless tube curving forward into infinity, with no beginning, no end. It can't be a location. It has to be its own contained dimension, looping in on itself. The very act of running through it feels like stepping into infinity, a never-ending lane of challenge. The design itself screams, this is not a place you could find. It is a pocket of reality conjured for a single purpose. The purpose, of course, is the protection of the Chaos Emeralds. If the emeralds are the ultimate source of power, able to warp time, space, and reality itself, It would make sense that they wouldn't be left lying around in forests or caves. Instead, they'd be placed somewhere unreachable, except by those who can pierce through to these hidden dimensions. The gateways, the rings, the checkpoints, the portals are like keys scattered throughout Mobius. Only those who prove themselves by collecting rings, by showing patience and awareness, can open them. Once inside, they must pass the trial, and only then is the emerald revealed. This makes the special stages function almost like vaults, or even like safes. Imagine a universe where the most powerful artifacts are too dangerous to leave in the open. So, the world itself, perhaps guided by the emeralds, creates these pockets of reality to store them. A normal passerby could never enter. Only someone chosen, someone with the right energy, could even glimpse the entrance. This aligns with the way special stages have always behaved. They are not constant places. You can't walk up to them. You can't map them out. They open only under certain conditions. 50 rings in hand. A checkpoint crossed. A hidden ring discovered. They are conditional realities, as if waiting just out of sight until the right signal is given. That conditional nature is one of the strongest hints toward them being pocket dimensions. There's also the way they vanish when Sonic finishes. Once the emerald is won, or the attempt fails, the stage collapses. Sonic is returned to his original spot, as though nothing happened. If special stages were illusions, one might expect Sonic to wake up from them, dazed, confused. But he never does. Instead, it feels like he steps out of one dimension and back into another, seamlessly, with no time lost. That seamlessness is key. It suggests that the special stages are tethered to Mobius, yet exist apart, able to be entered and exited without disrupting the flow of the main world. The imagery of doors and rings supports this theory as well. A ring, in many cultures, is a symbol of eternity, of cycles, of things without beginning or end. In Sonic, the giant rings act as literal doorways to infinity. You leap through, and suddenly you are elsewhere. It's as if the golden shape itself represents the folding of space, a frame through which another world can be glimpsed. The fact that the emeralds lie beyond these portals suggests intention. They were placed there, hidden inside dimensions that only rings, or other conduits of energy, can open. The very term special stage also hints at this. They aren't called bonus levels or secret rooms. They are called stages, as if the universe itself is staging a performance, setting the stage for a trial. Each time Sonic enters, the dimension reshapes itself around him, preparing its challenge. That kind of language leans into the idea of pocket dimensions acting like programmable spaces, shifting to match the rules of the emerald they hold. And when you look at how different games portray them, mazes, half-pipes, globes, UFO arenas, it's easy to imagine that each emerald has its own pocket, its own bubble universe tailored to its energy. What we see is only the surface. The deeper truth might be that the emeralds generate these pockets themselves, wrapping their energy around them like shells, protecting them until a worthy seeker arrives. If we imagine these special stages as pocket dimensions, the next question becomes, who created them? Did the emeralds themselves weave these places into being? Or were they constructed long ago by an ancient civilization with knowledge far beyond our own? In Sonic lore, there are whispers of advanced societies, the Echidna tribes on Angel Island, or even more mysterious groups lost to time. These civilizations built temples, shrines, and mechanisms designed to harness or protect the emeralds. could they have also designed the gateways? Perhaps the giant rings and portals we see are relics of their handiwork, still functioning after millennia, maintaining doorways into these hidden dimensions. But here's the twist. The special stages never look like ruins. They don't resemble the stone carvings or jungle temples of Angel Island. Instead, they are strange, abstract, and dreamlike. Rotating crystal mazes, endless neon half-pipes, checkerboard spheres floating in space. They feel alive, more like something generated in real time, reshaping itself around the player. That suggests that maybe no civilization designed them at all. Maybe the emeralds themselves are responsible. Think about it. The Chaos Emeralds aren't just jewels. They're reality-warping objects of raw power. If each emerald can warp physics, bend time, or even connect dimensions, then it isn't such a leap to think they might also project protective spaces around themselves. A special stage could be less of a location and more of a manifestation of the emerald's own defense system. Like a pearl forming a shell, the emerald creates a dimensional barrier that must be pierced. This would explain why every special stage is different from game to game. The emeralds might adapt their defenses depending on who is seeking them. Sonic sees endless tubes, spheres, or abstract planes, not because those places exist somewhere out there, but because the emerald he is chasing projects that shape for him. In other words, special stages could be emerald-forged puzzles, crafted to test worthiness. And then there's the way time behaves inside them. Notice how no matter how long Sonic spends in a special stage, when he exits, he's always returned exactly to where he was. There's no lost daylight, no missed moments. To the outside world, no time has passed at all. That's a classic hallmark of pocket dimensions. They sit outside the normal flow of time, operating on their own clock. What feels like minutes or even hours to Sonic might be nothing more than an instant in Mobius. This makes them eerily similar to folklore across the world. In myths, there are countless tales of heroes who step into fairy rings or cross into magical realms, only to discover that time flowed differently there. Sometimes they return to find years have passed, or sometimes not a second. The special stages echo this kind of myth, blending gameplay mechanics with timeless storytelling tropes. The most fascinating part is how accessible they are to Sonic. Unlike Eggman, who builds machines and artificial portals, Sonic needs no technology. All he needs are rings, the very energy currency of his world. The rings might act as a resonance, vibrating with the same energy frequency as the emeralds. When Sonic collects enough of them, that energy unlocks the door. In this light, the rings aren't just shiny collectibles. They're a literal key to other realities. This would also explain the giant ring's glow. They aren't ordinary objects lying around. They hum with energy, pulsing with a power that responds to Sonic's own spirit. The moment he leaps through, the golden circle doesn't simply teleport him. Instead, it folds open, revealing the dimension inside. Think of it like opening a book, where each special stage is another chapter waiting to be read. And then, when Sonic wins or loses, the book snaps shut again. The stage collapses, and Sonic is gently pushed back into the world of Mobius. No scars, no confusion, just the sense that he's been tested. The smooth transition has always fascinated fans. It feels deliberate, as if the emeralds or some greater force is carefully guiding the process, never breaking the flow of reality, but always testing those who reach for ultimate power. Now consider the physical rules of these dimensions. In Sonic 3's Blue Sphere stages, the entire universe seems to be a globe that wraps around itself. Walk far enough and you'll loop infinitely. This is not how normal worlds work. It's a geometry only possible in pocket dimensions, where physics can be bent to create endless puzzles. In Sonic CD, the UFO chases across starry plains feel like they happen in dreamscapes stitched together from fragments of Mobius skies and cosmic energy. Each version of these stages feels less like a place and more like a pocket reality designed around a single challenge. So, if they are pocket dimensions, then each time Sonic enters, he isn't traveling through space. He's piercing the fabric of reality. The giant rings, checkpoints, and stars are like cracks in the world's surface, openings where the hidden bubbles of these dimensions brush against Mobius. They're fleeting, rare, and impossible to force open without the right resonance. And that idea that there are cracks in reality, gateways into hidden universes just waiting for someone with enough energy to enter, is what makes the special stages so haunting. It implies that Mobius itself isn't whole but layered, stitched together with hidden pockets of unreality. And every time Sonic jumps through a ring, he's risking more than a bonus round. He's plunging into the unknown, a place that was never meant to be seen by ordinary eyes. If special stages are indeed pocket dimensions, then they raise a profound question. Are they stable, permanent places, or do they exist only when summoned? This question has fascinated fans for decades. Some argue that each special stage is like a locked room, sitting forever outside Mobius, waiting for someone to enter. Others believe the dimensions are conjured on the spot, forming out of raw chaos energy the moment Sonic touches the gateway. The truth may be somewhere in between. Let's imagine the emeralds not as passive gems, but as active sources of will. If they are alive, or at least responsive, then it's possible that each special stage exists in a dormant state, a kind of slumbering dream wrapped around the emerald. When Sonic enters, the emerald awakens and shapes its protective chamber. Once the trial is over, the dream collapses, returning to its quiet sleep. This dreamlike pocket idea fits perfectly with the way special stages appear, vanish, and never repeat exactly the same way twice. Nowhere is this clearer than in Sonic 3 Knuckles. The blue sphere stages are iconic, but also strange. The world itself is a checkerboard globe, bending endlessly in every direction. It's not a cave, not a sky, not anything you could imagine existing on Mobius. It feels algorithmic, as though the emerald has generated a puzzle specifically for Sonic. Each step Sonic takes reveals patterns, spheres, and traps, like the dimension is alive, responding in real time. If this is a pocket dimension, then it's not just a room. It's a thinking, shifting test, woven from chaos energy itself. And then there's Sonic CD. The special stages. They are perhaps the most surreal of all. Flat plains floating under colorful skies, with UFOs darting in the distance. Time limits tick down. Rings serve as lifelines, and the geometry bends in ways that make no sense. They look like dream fragments, bits of Mobius skies, stitched together with impossible landscapes. Fans have speculated that these stages aren't just emerald vaults, but places where time itself is unstable, which makes sense considering CD's obsession with time travel. Maybe the pocket dimensions there are closer to time rifts, cracks in the timeline where chaos energy pools and the UFOs, guardians, perhaps, patrol. These dreamlike qualities also link special stages to the idea of liminal spaces. You've probably seen this term online. It describes spaces that feel familiar yet eerily empty, like an abandoned mall or a hallway stretching too far. The special stages carry that same atmosphere. They don't feel like real places, yet they're not entirely unreal. They exist in a liminal state between worlds, accessible only through strange thresholds like rings or stars. It's no wonder fans often describe them as unsettling or otherworldly. The comics and expanded Sonic media have sometimes leaned into this. In certain Archie Sonic issues, the emeralds are shown to exist in planes of pure energy, accessible only through deliberate ritual or advanced technology. Other times they're depicted as hidden deep within Mobius, but always with guardians and traps designed to keep them safe. What's consistent is that the emeralds are never simply found. They are always reached through a process, whether mystical or dimensional, that tests the seeker. This reinforces the pocket dimension theory, because if these were just illusions, why would Sonic need to physically collect the emeralds? He doesn't wake up from a dream holding nothing. He comes back with the gem in hand. That proves that something tangible happens in these spaces. Illusions can't deliver objects. Only real physical places, or at least stable dimensional pockets, could allow such a thing. The fascinating part is how Eggman interacts with them. Unlike Sonic, Eggman rarely enters special stages directly. Instead, he builds machines to harness or locate the emeralds, bypassing the need to step through rings. Could this suggest that the pocket dimensions reject him? That his energy signature doesn't resonate with the gateways? Sonic, on the other hand, might be in tune with the natural flow of rings and chaos energy, allowing him to slip through. This makes the special stages feel less like open challenges and more like chosen trials, spaces that only respond to those who embody a certain harmony with the world. And this leads to a bigger implication. Maybe special stages are part of Mobius's defense system. Imagine the planet itself, alive with the energy of the Chaos Emeralds, weaving hidden pockets of space to keep them safe. The giant rings scattered across Mobius might be pressure points, cracks in the dimensional fabric that Mobius allows heroes like Sonic to access. The planet doesn't want the emeralds falling into the wrong hands, so it hides them in these shifting pockets, accessible only by those pure enough to survive the trials. This also explains why special stages are so fleeting. If they were permanent, Eggman would have built a machine to drill into them by now. But because they flicker in and out, only appearing at the right conditions, they remain beyond his reach. They are living pockets of space, opening only when needed, collapsing as soon as their purpose is fulfilled. So perhaps the special stages aren't levels at all. Perhaps they are defenses, pocket universes generated by the Emerald or by Mobius itself, working as a safeguard against greed and corruption. They are not meant to be seen by ordinary eyes, not meant to exist in the open. They are the universe's way of hiding its most dangerous treasures in plain sight, but just out of reach. If special stages are pocket dimensions, then they are some of the strangest and most misunderstood phenomena in all of Sonic's adventures. And like any mystery, there are conflicting views, even within the fanbase. Some players swear that the stages must be illusions, conjured challenges designed to test Sonic's skill without really existing. Others hold fast to the pocket dimension idea, believing these places are as real as Angel Island or Station Square, just harder to reach. What makes the debate so compelling is that the games themselves rarely explain anything. There's no lore dump, no ancient scroll saying the emeralds sleep in dimensions beyond time. The developers leave it vague, turning the special stages into something players are meant to feel rather than fully understand. That vagueness is powerful because it invites endless speculation. Take Sonic Mania, for example. Its special stages blend elements of past designs, half-pipe racing, UFO chases, surreal skies. They feel like a tribute to every special stage that came before, but also like proof of the pocket dimension theory. The way Sonic runs endlessly in a looped arena, chasing UFOs through impossible landscapes, feels too abstract to be anywhere in Mobius. And yet, when he wins, he holds the emerald in his hand. That consistency, that tangible reward, always circles back to the idea that these are real places. But let's not forget the arguments against. Some fans argue that the special stages could simply be mental trials. Perhaps Sonic isn't literally entering another space. He's entering a state of consciousness guided by the emeralds. In this view, the emeralds present puzzles in Sonic's mind. And if he proves himself, the emerald materializes before him. It would explain why the landscapes are so bizarre, dreamlike, and inconsistent. After all, dreams don't follow rules. Yet the problem with this theory is physicality. How could something purely mental produce a physical gem? How could Tails, Knuckles, and other characters also enter them if they were only happening in Sonic's head? Unless all of Mobius is linked in some psychic web, which is unlikely, the mental trial theory falls apart. The pocket dimension idea, while just as strange, at least accounts for the physical transfer of the emeralds into the real world. Another point of intrigue comes from how special stages interact with failure. If Sonic loses or falls short, the emerald doesn't vanish. It remains in its pocket, waiting for another attempt. That's a crucial detail. If the stages were illusions, wouldn't they dissolve after being solved, regardless of success? But no, they persist, ready to be reopened until Sonic triumphs. That persistence suggests something more than mere hallucination. It suggests durability, pockets of reality that continue existing even after Sonic leaves. And then there's the emotional effect. Special stages often feel unsettling, disorienting, even stressful. The spinning, twisting, surreal backdrops create a sense of unease, as if Sonic has truly stepped into another world, where the rules are stacked against him. That mood aligns beautifully with the idea of pocket dimensions. They're not supposed to feel comfortable. They're supposed to feel alien, because Sonic is outside his world. So what, ultimately, do the special stages tell us? If we follow the pocket dimension theory, they reveal that Mobius is layered with hidden worlds, places folded into the fabric of reality. They show us that the Chaos Emeralds are not simply treasures to be found, but forces of nature that demand trials of worthiness. They suggest that the universe itself resists greed, corruption, and shortcuts by hiding power away in places that only the pure of spirit can access. And perhaps that's the most poetic part of all. The special stages embody the idea that power should never be easy to obtain. They are the universe's riddle, whispered through glowing rings and starry portals, challenging heroes to prove themselves before they touch the infinite. They are neither illusions nor simple mazes, but living dimensions, strange, temporary, protective worlds wrapped like cocoons around the most dangerous gems in existence. Next time you picture Sonic leaping into a giant golden ring, think of it not as a bonus level, but as a journey into another universe. A universe that flickers open only for a moment, testing his courage and speed, then folding shut as if it never existed. The emeralds don't just sit on the ground waiting to be claimed. They hide, guarded by dimensions no one else can touch. And in that way, the special stages are like dreams themselves, fleeting, mysterious, half-remembered, but carrying treasures for those brave enough to pass through. So, are they pocket dimensions? The evidence leans strongly in that direction. From their impossible geometry, their timelessness, Their conditional access and the very fact that they yield real gems, the special stages feel like more than just tricks. They are doors into other realms, each one a protective cradle for the emerald within. And maybe that's why they linger in our imaginations long after the game is turned off. They are more than levels. They are whispers from the hidden corners of Mobius. Hints that our world is never as simple as it seems. Just as dreams carry truths wrapped in mystery, the special stages carry the emeralds wrapped in cosmic puzzles. To enter them is to step beyond the ordinary, if only for a moment, and glimpse the infinite. Segment 3. The Illusion Hypothesis. Part 1. 750 words. If the pocket dimension theory paints the special stages as real, hidden universes, then the illusion hypothesis looks at them from the opposite side. What if these stages are not worlds at all, but carefully woven visions, tests that happen? If the pocket dimension theory paints the special stages as real, hidden universes, then the illusion hypothesis looks at them from the opposite side. What if these stages are not worlds at all, but carefully woven visions, tests that happen not in physical space, but in the mind, in perception, or even in the very energy fields surrounding the Chaos Emeralds? It's a fascinating angle, because illusions have always been part of Sonic's world. Think of the shimmering mirages in desert zones, or the holograms Eggman has used to trick his enemies. The Sonic universe has long shown us that appearances can be deceiving. So when Sonic leaps into a giant ring and finds himself spinning through kaleidoscopic mazes or running down endless half-pipes, maybe he isn't going anywhere. Maybe he's standing still, his body frozen at the moment of entry, while his mind is pulled into a trial crafted by the emerald itself. The evidence begins with the very design of the stages. They don't look like natural places or even artificial ones. They look like constructs of imagination. The spinning, shifting crystals in Sonic 1, the checkerboard globe of Sonic 3, the neon skies of Sonic CD. These are environments too surreal to be mistaken for actual geography. They have the logic of dreams, where physics doesn't quite add up, yet somehow you play along. That's the first clue. The stages behave like illusions, existing only as long as Sonic believes in their rules. The illusion hypothesis also explains the disorienting quality of the stages. Many players describe them as dizzying, almost overwhelming. The rotating mazes of Sonic 1 make you lose your sense of direction. The Sonic 2 half-pipes stretch endlessly, their curvature confusing your sense of progress. It's almost like these stages are designed to overload the senses, to test not just skill, but mental clarity. Illusions often serve that purpose. They challenge your perception, forcing you to distinguish reality from trickery. Now imagine the Chaos Emeralds themselves casting such illusions. If they truly are living or at least semi-conscious entities, as some Sonic lore suggests, then it's not far-fetched to think they defend themselves with mind-bending visions. Instead of hiding in vaults or pocket universes, they wrap themselves in illusions so convincing that only the most determined can reach them. Sonic's willpower, his focus, his determination to protect others, all of these qualities allow him to cut through the illusion and grasp the emerald. The strongest support for this theory comes from the seamless way Sonic returns after a special stage. Think about it. He jumps into a giant ring, the screen swirls, and suddenly he's in a bizarre trial. When it's over, whether successful or not, he's back exactly where he entered. No time lost, no distance traveled, no evidence that he ever left at all. If this were a pocket dimension, wouldn't there at least be some sense of movement, some sign that he had been physically displaced? Instead, it feels like a dream that ends the instant you wake up, your body still where it was, untouched by the journey. There's also the matter of failure. When Sonic fails a special stage, he doesn't collapse in exhaustion or fall back out of a portal. Instead, the illusion simply dissolves. He's denied the emerald, but otherwise nothing changes. It's as though the trial was a projection, a simulation that ends once its purpose is unfulfilled. That's exactly how illusions behave. They vanish once their effect has been broken. Some fans even argue that the spinning backgrounds, those psychedelic, endlessly repeating visuals, are the biggest hint that these stages aren't real places. They're not landscapes, they're patterns, like hypnotic spirals meant to draw Sonic into a trance. The sensation of running forward endlessly, while the world bends and folds around him, feels more like being hypnotized than traveling through a location. If the emeralds are using illusions, then those swirling patterns might be their way of ensnaring Sonic's senses, locking him into a state where the trial feels real even though it isn't. Interestingly, the illusion hypothesis makes special stages more personal. Instead of being universal spaces that anyone can enter, they could be tailored to Sonic's own perceptions. Maybe Tails or Knuckles see something completely different when they enter. Maybe each hero is shown illusions that play to their strengths and weaknesses, forcing them to overcome their own fears and limitations. That would explain why the designs vary so wildly from game to game. It's not that the stages have changed, it's that the illusion adapts to whoever is trying to claim the emerald. If this is true, then the special stages become not physical challenges, but psychological ones. They're not about navigating a place, but about conquering one's own perception. The emeralds, in this sense, aren't just testing speed or reflex, they're testing the clarity of mind. Can Sonic stay focused in a dizzying, shifting maze? Can he resist the disorientation long enough to reach the emerald? That makes the illusion theory not only plausible, but deeply poetic. Because think about it. What better way to protect a gem of infinite power than with illusions? No lock, no vault, no machine can rival the human or hedgehog mind. If you can fool the senses, you don't need to hide physically. You simply make the seeker doubt themselves, exhaust themselves, confuse themselves. Only those who can pierce the veil, who can see past the trickery, deserve to claim the emerald. If special stages are illusions, then they belong to a long tradition of trials hidden not in the physical world, but in the mind. Across mythologies and stories from around the world, heroes often face tests of perception, visions meant to confuse, disorient, or tempt them. The emeralds, if they are truly alive, or at least mystical, could be drawing on this very principle, disguising themselves not with stone walls or guards, but with mirages. Take, for example, ancient tales of the Fae. In folklore, stepping into a fairy ring was said to whisk travelers away into another world, where they might dance endlessly, forgetting time. But many storytellers insisted this wasn't a literal journey into another land. It was a glamour, a spell cast upon the senses. The victims weren't moved at all. They only believed they had been. That sense of enchantment feels eerily similar to the way Sonic leaps into a glowing ring, only to wake up back in the same spot once the special stage dissolves. Or look at Greek mythology. Heroes often encountered gods who tested them through visions. Sometimes the gods would create dazzling illusions to test whether mortals could recognize truth from deception. To fail meant death or madness. To succeed meant favor, gifts, or power. Isn't that the very essence of the special stage? To push through the dazzling, swirling illusion and emerge with the emerald in hand. Even in Eastern traditions, the idea recurs. In Buddhist stories, seekers of enlightenment are tested by visions meant to frighten or distract them. Demons appear, landscapes shift, and illusions cloud the path. Only by seeing through the unreality can the seeker move forward. The special stages mirror this spiritual trial. They don't just test Sonic's speed, they test his clarity, his ability to keep moving forward through confusion. From a psychological perspective, the special stages also resemble something else: lucid dreaming. Many players describe them as dreamlike, with distorted visuals and strange rules. Lucid dreams are dreams where the dreamer becomes aware they're dreaming and must navigate bizarre, shifting landscapes with focus and intent. That's exactly how the special stages feel. Unreal, but navigable, if you can hold on to your sense of direction. This makes the illusion hypothesis strangely comforting. If these are illusions, then Sonic isn't risking his body in some other dimension. Instead, he's venturing inward, conquering mental trials. The emeralds in this case might be probing the very minds of their seekers, seeing if they are steady enough to wield such power. If your mind can be easily overwhelmed by illusions, perhaps you aren't worthy of the gems. The idea also ties neatly into gameplay itself. Think about how special stages often warp perspective. In Sonic 2, the half-pipe bends the horizon, creating a sense of running into infinity. In Sonic 1, the stage rotates constantly, making you lose track of which way is up. These mechanics don't just test reflexes, they test your ability to orient yourself when your senses are deceived. What better way to simulate an illusion than to literally confuse your perspective? Another point worth noting: illusions explain the surreal aesthetics. The checkered patterns of Sonic 3's globe, the neon colors of Sonic CD, the endless starry voids. They're not landscapes at all. They're visual metaphors, projections meant to unsettle or challenge. Like a hypnotist's spiral, they pull you deeper into the illusion. If special stages were real locations, why would they look like abstract art galleries instead of caves, temples, or fortresses? Their design only makes sense if they're meant to feel unreal. Illusions also explain the emotional tone of special stages. Players often feel nervous, tense, even a little lost while inside them. There's something slightly uncanny about the way they play. Unlike Green Hill Zone or Chemical Plant, where you can map out platforms and hazards, special stages resist mapping. They disorient you on purpose. That tension isn't just gameplay, it's narrative. The emeralds don't want to be claimed. They cloud your senses, forcing you to prove you can cut through the fog. And what about the fact that special stages are conditional? They only appear when Sonic has collected a certain number of rings, or when he touches the right checkpoint. If they were real, why would access depend on such abstract conditions? But if they're illusions, it makes sense. The conditions are simply triggers. 50 rings, or a glowing star post, might be what awakens the illusion, like a switch flipping in Sonic's mind. Once the condition is met, the emerald projects its challenge into his perception. Fail, and the illusion collapses. Succeed, and the emerald rewards you. There's also the matter of consistency. Pocket dimensions could, in theory, be mapped and revisited. But illusions are inherently inconsistent. They change from game to game, from emerald to emerald. Sometimes it's a rotating maze, sometimes a half-pipe, sometimes UFOs. That variability makes sense if the emeralds are projecting illusions tailored to the moment. It doesn't need to be consistent, because it isn't real. In this light, special stages stop being mysterious places and become mysterious visions. They're mental trials, glimpses into abstract realms of thought and energy, not physical rooms tucked into Mobius. And that makes them no less magical. If anything, it makes them more mysterious. Because illusions blur the line between mind and world, between dream and reality. They remind us that the greatest trials often happen not in physical battles, but in the quiet struggle to stay focused, steady, and true. Of course, the illusion theory, as elegant as it is, carries its own set of problems. If special stages are only visions, then why does Sonic always emerge holding something very real, the Chaos Emerald? Illusions, by their very nature, shouldn't create matter. They can trick your senses, make you feel like you're running through a twisting half-pipe. But when the mirage fades, there should be nothing to take home. And yet, time and time again, Sonic walks away with a glowing gem. That single fact complicates the idea of special stages being purely mental projections. This is where many fans step in with a hybrid explanation. Perhaps the stages are illusions, yes, but illusions anchored in something deeper. Imagine the emeralds projecting a puzzle not into thin air, but directly into Sonic's perception, an illusion woven with chaos energy itself. If he proves his worth by completing the trial, the emerald reveals itself, transferring from its hidden resting state into Sonic's possession. In this interpretation, the emerald was always nearby, cloaked or disguised by chaos energy. The illusion isn't conjuring the gem, it's unlocking it. Think about how this mirrors magical traditions. In myths and folk tales, treasure is often hidden not by locks and keys, but by enchantments. A cave might appear empty until a hero speaks the right words, or a chest might look like a pile of stones until someone brave enough reaches for it. The emeralds could be using the same principle. They hide themselves behind illusions, not to create value from nothing, but to ensure only those who can pierce the veil may claim them. This unlocking view helps reconcile the problem of tangibility. Sonic isn't pulling a gem out of a hallucination. He's breaking through the illusion to find the gem that was always there. The emerald was never conjured. It was concealed. Another question lingers, though. Why illusions at all? If the emeralds wanted to hide, they could simply bury themselves underground or sit atop an unreachable mountain. Why go to the trouble of weaving reality-bending visions? The answer might lie in the nature of chaos energy. Chaos energy has always been portrayed as wild, versatile, and deeply tied to thought and emotion. It powers machines, warps time, and bends space. It can also respond to willpower, as seen when Sonic channels it to transform into supersonic. If chaos energy is tied to consciousness, then illusions would be the perfect defense mechanism. Instead of simply blocking intruders with walls, the emeralds bend perception, creating obstacles of the mind. They're not hiding in stone. They're hiding in thought. Here's another wrinkle to consider: the emotional atmosphere of special stages. They often feel uncanny, even unsettling. For players, they're a mix of excitement and anxiety. Unlike the joyous rush of a main stage, there's tension in these dreamlike arenas. That mood itself may be the point. The emeralds aren't just hiding, they're challenging, creating emotional turbulence that tests whether Sonic can hold steady under pressure. If he falters, the illusion swallows him. If he remains calm, he pierces through the haze and earns the reward. This also explains why special stages vary so much across games. In Sonic 1, they're rotating dreamscapes. In Sonic 2, endless half-pipes. In Sonic CD, colorful UFO chases. If these were physical dimensions, we'd expect consistency, one kind of room or one kind of realm. But illusions don't have to be consistent. They adapt, change, even reflect the will of whoever enters them. Perhaps each emerald weaves its own illusion. Perhaps the form of the trial reflects Sonic's own mind at the time. Or perhaps the developers themselves, Eggman, Tails, Knuckles, perceive completely different illusions when they enter. One particularly fascinating idea is that illusions explain why only Sonic seems able to endure them. Think of it, Eggman never goes through special stages, neither do most other characters. In canon, they're almost exclusively Sonic's trial. Why? Maybe because most minds collapse under the strain of chaos-induced illusions. Eggman might be too calculating, too rigid to handle such shifting dreamscapes. Knuckles, tied to tradition, might resist their strangeness. But Sonic, with his free spirit and adaptable mind, thrives in them. His personality makes him uniquely suited to push through confusion and find the emeralds. That thought leads to an even more intriguing possibility. The special stages don't just test skill, they test compatibility. They're not asking, can you run fast enough? They're asking, is your mind the kind that can handle chaos? If the answer is no, you fail. If the answer is yes, you not only succeed, you bond with the emerald. The illusion, then, is a filter, selecting not just the fastest, but the most fitting. From this perspective, the contradictions melt away. The emeralds are tangible, yes, but they remain hidden until their illusions are conquered. They are mental trials, yes, but anchored in a physical reward. And they are inconsistent, yes, but only because illusions were never meant to be stable. They are puzzles that shift as needed, ensuring each trial is fresh and revealing. So, while the illusion theory has its challenges, it also holds profound explanatory power. It paints the special stages not as arbitrary mini-games, but as psychological labyrinths, tests of focus, adaptability, and mental clarity. And in that light, they become more than just gameplay features. They become rituals, dreamlike rites of passage that every hero must endure if they hope to touch the heart of chaos. When we look back at all these threads, the myths of trials through visions, the psychological parallels with dreams, and the way the gameplay itself confuses and challenges the senses, one truth emerges. Illusions are not weak or secondary. In fact, they may be the most profound kind of trial the emeralds could create. Because an illusion doesn't just test the body, it tests the mind. In a way, that makes special stages even more daunting than battling Eggman or speeding across landscapes. Sonic is used to racing, dodging, and smashing through obstacles, but illusions take away the comfort of clear reality. They bend the rules, make him doubt which way is forward, distort his very sense of up and down. In that confusion, the real test begins. Can he keep faith in his instincts? Can he move forward even when the world looks unreal? That's the hidden beauty of illusions. They strip away certainty, and when certainty is gone, all that remains is character. A person's choices, their perseverance, their spirit. In this light, the Chaos Emeralds don't just ask Sonic to run fast. They ask him to trust himself, to step into a swirling, dreamlike world where nothing feels solid, and to keep running anyway. Fans have often remarked on how special stages feel like dreams. Some even describe them as Sonic's subconscious taking form. The regular levels are the waking world, grass, steel, oceans, and fire. But the special stages? Those are his dreams, his mind's way of processing the strange power of the emeralds. Perhaps that's why the stages vary so much between games, because each is shaped not only by the emeralds, but also by Sonic himself in that particular time and place. They are not fixed landscapes, they are living dreams. Think of Sonic CD's special stages, where Sonic chases UFOs in a colorful, shifting arena. It feels almost like chasing fleeting thoughts, or catching wisps of memory. Or the checkerboard spheres of Sonic 3 Knuckles, endless and hypnotic, as if Sonic is running across a puzzle made of thought itself. Each one mirrors the way dreams can shift between clarity and chaos, between excitement and unease. This dreamlike quality also explains why so many players feel a sense of tension, even nervousness, when entering a special stage. It's not just the higher stakes of hunting an emerald. It's the strangeness, the feeling that you've stepped outside of reality into a place that doesn't follow the rules. The music reinforces this, often more hypnotic, looping or otherworldly than the main zone tracks. The soundscapes whisper, you're not in the waking world anymore. And when the illusion breaks, when Sonic fails and the stage collapses, the effect is like waking from a dream. One moment you're tumbling through neon spirals or running after UFOs. The next, you're back in Green Hill Zone, as if nothing happened. That sudden snap echoes the way real dreams dissolve when morning comes, leaving behind only the faint trace of what was. Some fans take this further, imagining that the emeralds themselves are dreamers, that the special stages are not just illusions in Sonic's mind, but dreams projected by the gems. Each emerald in this interpretation has its own consciousness, its own dream. And when Sonic enters a special stage, he is stepping into the dream of the gem itself. If he can navigate that dream successfully, the emerald awakens and allows itself to be claimed. Fail, and the dream simply folds in on itself, rejecting him. There's a poetic charm to that vision. Instead of being passive objects, the emeralds become active, mysterious beings. They don't wait to be picked up like coins. They guard themselves through visions, illusions, and dreams. They demand that anyone seeking them must be more than strong, more than fast. They must be dreamers, too, able to adapt, endure, and see through shifting realities. It also gives new weight to the idea that the emeralds choose their wielder. Sonic doesn't take them by force. He earns them by passing through their illusions, by proving he has the spirit to embrace chaos without being consumed. The emeralds, in turn, reveal themselves, recognizing him as worthy. Illusion, then, is not just a defense mechanism. It is a conversation, a question posed by the emeralds. Are you ready? And perhaps that's why special stages never lose their strangeness, no matter how many times we revisit them. They aren't supposed to feel normal. They aren't supposed to feel comfortable. They are meant to unsettle us, to remind us that true power is never given lightly. The path to it is always winding, uncertain, and strange. As the screen swirls, as the colors bend, as Sonic races forward against gravity itself, the illusion hypothesis reminds us that what we're seeing may not be real in a physical sense, but it is real in another way. Real as a test, as a dream, as a vision of the emerald's will. And when Sonic emerges, gem in hand, it is proof not that he conquered a place, but that he conquered a dream. So whether you see them as hallucinations, projections, or living dreams, special stages embody something timeless. They remind us that reality is not always solid, that sometimes the greatest treasures hide behind the veils of perception. And in the quiet, hypnotic glow of those swirling arenas, we glimpse something more than gameplay. We glimpse the emeralds. If the special stages are more than illusions, and more than pocket dimensions, then perhaps they are something older, something deeper, gateways that reach back to the very heart of Mobius's ancient history. To imagine this theory, you have to think of the Chaos Emeralds not simply as powerful gems, but as ancient relics woven into the very fabric of the planet. If the emeralds are that old, then maybe the special stages are remnants of civilizations long before Sonic's time, civilizations that learned how to channel chaos energy to open doors into other realms. The first clue lies in Sonic 3 Knuckles. On Angel Island, scattered throughout the lush forests and ancient ruins, we find giant golden rings. They don't just sparkle like treasure, they shimmer like portals, standing tall in the air. When Sonic leaps into them, he doesn't simply tumble into a dream. He passes through, as if crossing a threshold, and enters the special stage. The rings act like gateways, not illusions. They don't deceive the senses, they transport. That detail has fascinated fans for decades because it feels deliberate, architectural, purposeful. Someone or something placed those giant rings there to serve as entryways. And who might that be? The most obvious answer is the ancient Echidna civilization, the same one that once guarded the Master Emerald on Angel Island. In scattered murals and ruins, we see evidence that these people had deep knowledge of chaos energy. They built temples, shrines, and mechanisms that aligned with the power of the emeralds. The giant rings might be part of that same legacy, a network of gateways designed to access the liminal space where the Chaos Emeralds rest. This interpretation casts the special stages not as arbitrary arenas, but as sacred vaults. Think of them like hidden chambers within a temple, but on a scale that bends reality itself. The Echidnas may have discovered that the emeralds resisted being stored in ordinary places. Instead, they wove pocket gateways, stabilized by chaos energy, where the emeralds could be kept safe until the worthy arrived. There's also the curious fact that the special stages are always separate from the normal world. You never stumble upon a Chaos Emerald in a cave or a city street. They're always tucked away behind a glowing threshold. That separation fits perfectly with the gateway theory. The emeralds are too powerful to be left in the open. They must be safeguarded in places apart, hidden behind barriers of energy. Some fans point out that even the aesthetics of special stages hint at this. In Sonic 3 Knuckles, the blue sphere stage has a patterned, almost sacred geometry. Endless grids of red and blue spheres stretch outward, like a puzzle designed by ancient architects. It doesn't feel random. It feels intentional, as though Sonic is stepping into a trial left behind for seekers to prove themselves. The environment itself seems like a designed space, part puzzle, part lock. Now consider chaos energy itself. If the emeralds are saturated with this energy, then it may be the very fuel that keeps these gateways open. Chaos energy is not just raw power. It bends time, space, and matter. In Sonic Adventure, we see it reshape landscapes, awaken gods, even warp entire islands. If that's possible, then stabilizing a doorway to another realm is well within its abilities. The special stages could simply be folds in space maintained by the emerald's energy. But here's where the theory grows even more fascinating. What if the special stages are not just vaults, but bridges? Bridges not only to the emeralds, but to other planes of existence. When Sonic runs through those glowing half-pipes, maybe he's not just chasing a gem. Maybe he's running along a path through the fabric of reality itself. The vibrant colors, the starry backdrops, the shifting gravity, they all feel like what a journey between dimensions might look like. The special stages may be ancient pathways, designed not only to protect the emeralds, but also to connect Mobius to greater cosmic forces. In this light, the giant rings are not just entry points. They are keys, unlocking a universal architecture left behind by civilizations or even forces older than the echidnas. Sonic isn't just lucky to find these places. He's retracing the steps of those who came before, running through corridors of energy that were built long before he was born. And that gives the special stages a sense of sacredness. They are not mere bonus levels or game mechanics. They are glimpses into the hidden scaffolding of the Sonic universe. Every time Sonic leaps into one, he is not just chasing an emerald. He is brushing against history, against ancient knowledge that still hums within Mobius's soil. It makes you wonder, if these gateways exist, how many more are hidden? How many giant rings lie buried in the ruins of forgotten temples or submerged beneath oceans? How many ancient doorways remain unopened, humming softly with the energy of chaos? When you step back and look at the special stages, not as chaotic mini-games, but as structures, they start to resemble something very familiar. Temples. Not temples made of stone, perhaps, but temples made of energy, geometry, and chaos. The way Sonic passes through a giant ring is like crossing the threshold of a shrine. One moment, he's in the natural world, the jungle, the desert, the ice. The next, he's inside a place that feels sacred and removed, designed for ritual rather than habitation. This sense of ritual is what makes the Echidna connection so compelling. We know from Sonic Adventure that their civilization had a deep spiritual relationship with the emeralds. They worshipped the Master Emerald, and their murals depicted stories of chaos, the water deity tied to the gems. It's not a stretch to imagine that they also constructed systems to guard or honor the 7 Chaos Emeralds. The giant rings scattered across Angel Island feel less like random phenomena and more like deliberate placements, artifacts of a lost culture that once commanded chaos energy. Fans often imagine that the Blue Sphere special stage itself was an Echidna trial. The perfect symmetry, the repeating patterns, the ordered rows of spheres, everything about it feels engineered rather than accidental. It's as if the Echidnas, or some even earlier people, designed this puzzle to measure patience, precision, and clarity of thought. Sonic doesn't just stumble into chaos. He steps into a test chamber, one that has waited centuries for a challenger. This blends beautifully with how many ancient human cultures treated sacred spaces. Across history, civilizations built gateways, arches, and ceremonial doors as transitions from the ordinary world to the divine. In Japanese Shinto, the Torii Gate marks the entrance to a sacred shrine, symbolizing the passage from the mundane to the spiritual. In ancient Mesopotamia, ziggurats were constructed to bridge heaven and earth, each level drawing the worshipper closer to the divine. Even in the Mayan world, caves were seen as gateways to the underworld, portals not of stone, but of meaning. The giant rings in Sonic serve a strikingly similar role. They are not just objects, they are markers. They say, from here on, you are stepping into the realm of the sacred. Sonic doesn't just run through them to grab treasure. He is performing a kind of ritual journey, passing from one layer of reality to another. This also explains why special stages feel so different from the zones they're hidden in. The difference isn't just aesthetic, it's conceptual. The game wants us to feel the shift, to sense that Sonic has crossed into something other. Grass becomes checkerboards. Forests become neon voids. The music, often hypnotic or strange, reinforces this. It isn't the melody of battle, or adventure. It's the sound of a ritual space. If we think of special stages as gateways created by ancient people, then their bizarre, almost abstract designs make more sense. Ritual spaces don't always mirror the natural world. They exaggerate, they abstract, they elevate. Think of stained glass windows in a cathedral, where colors and patterns create an otherworldly glow. Or think of labyrinths in European churches, where pilgrims walked winding paths not to reach a destination, but to meditate, to experience transformation. Special stages, too, wind and twist, not simply to disorient, but to test. And the test isn't random. It's tied to chaos energy itself. We know from Sonic Adventure that the emeralds respond to emotions, to willpower, to the inner state of those who approach them. A temple of chaos. Energy wouldn't just guard itself with walls. It would guard itself with trials that resonate with the mind and body of the seeker. What better way to prove your worth than to run through a place where the laws of physics bend, where your instincts are tested in every moment? There's also the fact that special stages often feel timeless. They don't seem to exist in the same flow of time as the main zones. You enter, you run, you either succeed or fail, and then you're ejected back, often with no time passed at all. That timelessness is another feature of sacred gateways. Ancient myths often describe places where time bends or stands still once you cross a threshold. In Celtic lore, the otherworld was a place of endless feast, where days could pass inside, while centuries rolled by outside. In Sonic, the inverse is true. Time seems frozen in the special stages, as if the emeralds rest in a realm untouched by clocks. So perhaps the echidnas, or some even older civilization, created these gateways not only to protect the emeralds, but to preserve them outside of time. Left in the world, the emeralds might corrupt, draw war, or be stolen. Hidden in timeless gateways, they wait, unchanged, until someone worthy arrives. This perspective transforms special stages from curious diversions into living museums of Mobius's deepest history. Every ring Sonic leaps through is an invitation into an ancient design, a preserved relic of a people who understood chaos better than anyone alive today. The fact that Sonic, a hedgehog born in a modern world of machines and cities, is able to pass through them says as much about him as it does about the legacy of those ancient builders. While it's tempting to give the echidnas credit for everything tied to the Chaos Emeralds, there's a nagging detail that pushes us further back in time. The special stages don't feel entirely echidna in design. Their surreal, abstract, and ever-changing nature seems bigger than what one ancient civilization could create. The ordered ruins on Angel Island look like stone and mortar. The special stages look like thought and energy woven into reality itself. This raises a tantalizing question. What if the echidnas didn't invent the gateways at all? What if they only discovered and repurposed something much older? This possibility leads us to one of the grandest interpretations of all, that the special stages are not man-made at all, but natural phenomena of the universe woven into existence alongside the emeralds themselves. Imagine them as cosmic vaults, hidden dimensions that came into being the very moment the Chaos Emeralds crystallized. If the emeralds are primal artifacts of creation, raw jewels of chaos energy, then perhaps the special stages are the natural consequence of their power. The emeralds cannot simply exist in the open. Their energy warps reality around them, generating gateways that fold in on themselves. In this reading, the giant rings are not devices placed by ancient builders, but natural rifts, tears in space shaped into stable portals by the overwhelming gravity of chaos energy. Just as black holes bend space and time, the emeralds bend reality into pockets where they can rest unseen. When Sonic leaps through a giant ring, he isn't activating a device. He's stepping into the orbit of chaos itself. The sheer variety of special stages supports this cosmic explanation. No single culture could design so many different trials, from rotating mazes to UFO chases. But if these spaces are generated by the emeralds themselves, then their shifting nature makes sense. Each emerald might dream up its own trial, its own geometry of challenge, based on its resonance with chaos energy. What we see as neon half-pipes or checkered grids are simply the visual fingerprints of reality bending around an impossibly powerful stone. Think of them as the emerald's way of protecting themselves. Instead of sitting in the world where anyone could grab them, they fold themselves into spaces only accessible through concentrated gateways. Those gateways manifest as giant rings, shimmering with the same golden glow as the emeralds themselves. To pass through is to step into the emerald's aura, to be judged not by an outside architect, but by the gem itself. This makes Sonic's trials even more profound. He isn't just running through puzzles left behind by long-lost civilizations. He's interacting with the fundamental architecture of the universe. The special stages in this view are as natural as storms, volcanoes, or oceans. They're phenomena that appear wherever the emeralds slumber, timeless and self-generating. It's a theory that resonates with other parts of Sonic lore. In Sonic Adventure, Tikal describes the emeralds as connected to the very balance of the world. In Sonic Adventure 2, we see that chaos energy has cosmic applications, powering weapons like the Eclipse Cannon or warping space through chaos control. If chaos can already bend reality, then it follows that the emeralds, its purest sources, would generate spaces where normal physics no longer apply. And maybe that's why special stages feel so alien. They don't carry the fingerprints of culture. They don't look like temples, homes, or ruins. They look like something born out of energy itself. The checkerboards, the spirals, the endless half-pipes. They resemble patterns we see in physics and mathematics, fractals and waveforms, geometry repeating itself across scales. They feel closer to the language of the universe than to the artistry of any ancient tribe. There's a humbling thought here. If the special stages are natural gateways tied to the emeralds, then Sonic isn't uncovering secrets of the past. He's glimpsing the foundation of reality. The emeralds aren't just relics. They're part of the living structure of the cosmos, and the special stages are the proof. They are cosmic lockboxes, self-made defenses against anyone unworthy of their power. And yet, Sonic can enter them. He can run their paths, master their illusions, and claim the gems. This suggests something profound about his connection to chaos energy. Perhaps it isn't just his speed that allows him entry. Perhaps he carries within him a resonance with the emeralds themselves, some spark of harmony that allows him to walk where others cannot. If the special stages are truly ancient, older even than Mobius civilizations, then they are windows into the most mysterious part of Sonic's world, the origin of chaos itself. They raise questions that even the games rarely touch. Who or what first shaped the emeralds? Were they crafted, or did they crystallize from raw energy at the birth of the universe? And if they are that old, then the special stages are not just gateways. They are fossils of creation, living reminders that reality is not as solid as it seems. If we treat the special stages as natural gateways created by chaos energy, then we begin to see them less as puzzles to be solved and more as sacred thresholds. Sonic's world has always been a place where technology, nature, and ancient power collide. Yet the special stages stand apart from all of those. They are neither mechanical inventions nor natural landscapes. They are something else, a liminal space, a threshold between the tangible and the ineffable. This threshold quality is what makes them so fascinating. In myth and folklore, gateways often appear as transitions between states of being. A hero might pass through a cave and emerge in another realm, or cross a river to reach the land of spirits. In the same way, the giant rings act as mythic doorways, inviting Sonic into trials that are both physical and symbolic. Each special stage becomes a rite of passage, a dreamlike journey that tests his will, his focus, and his resilience. What's striking is how universal this idea is. Players who grew up with Sonic 1 remember the sense of mystery as the world spun around them in dizzying colors. Those who first encountered the half-pipes in Sonic 2 recall the thrill of dashing alongside Tails, gathering rings against a cosmic backdrop. And others still remember Sonic CD's surreal UFO chase, where time itself seemed to warp. Across each of these forms, the special stages carry the same sense. They are not of this world. They are gateways to something older, stranger, and essential. And perhaps that is why they are always tied to the emeralds. The emeralds are described in lore as the ultimate power. They are capable of reshaping reality, of granting near-infinite energy, of transforming Sonic into his superform. A power like that cannot simply rest in a box or under a temple floor. It needs a safeguard, something woven as deeply into reality as the emeralds themselves. The special stages provide that safeguard. They are barriers not of stone, but of will and perception. Only those able to run, focus, and endure can earn the right to hold an emerald. Some fans see this as evidence that the special stages are tests designed by the emeralds themselves. In this interpretation, the emeralds are semi-sentient, choosing their guardians by bending reality into trials. That idea makes Sonic's victories more than just gameplay. They become moments of communion, where Sonic proves his worth not just to us as players, but to the very fabric of chaos itself. Others interpret the special stages more metaphorically. They see them as dreamscapes, visions that occur when Sonic taps into the emerald's aura. After all, dreams have long been associated with thresholds, spaces where the mind processes mysteries too vast for waking thought. The whirling colors, the endless skies, the alien geometry. These might not be places you could visit physically. They might be inward journeys, tests of imagination and spirit, rather than raw speed. This softer interpretation also fits with the bedtime quality of Sonic's world. In dreams, we often encounter trials that feel both real and symbolic. We run, we chase, we strive, and somehow our dreams decide if we are ready to move forward. The special stages capture that feeling. They blur the line between play and vision, between world and imagination. They remind us that not all doors open into places we can map. Some open into mysteries we can only experience. When you think of it that way, the special stages stop being side levels and start becoming something profound. They are the places where Sonic's world reaches beyond itself, where reality stretches thin and lets us glimpse something older and deeper. They are ancient gateways in every sense, old, mysterious, and essential to the balance of Mobius. And when Sonic emerges victorious, clutching a gleaming Chaos Emerald, it feels less like winning a prize and more like completing a ritual. He steps out of the gateway changed, holding a fragment of pure creation in his hands. The emerald is not just power, it is permission, a recognition that he has crossed the threshold and proven himself worthy. There is a dreamy poetry in that. The special stages whisper to us that the world is full of hidden doors, and that sometimes passing through them requires more than brute force. It requires rhythm, patience, and harmony with forces greater than ourselves. So, whether they are cosmic vaults, emerald-forged illusions, or ancient gateways, one thing remains clear. They are not accidents. They are essential to the Emerald story, and to Sonic's as well. Every time Sonic steps into that shimmering ring, he enters a place beyond explanation. A place where time slows, colors blur, and reality rearranges itself around him. A place where we too feel like travelers in an endless dream. And maybe that's the greatest secret of the special stages. They remind us that the most powerful treasures aren't found in the open. They wait behind hidden doors, in spaces that test not just our skill, but our spirit. They are puzzles that cannot be solved by force alone, but only by those who are willing to run forward into the unknown, trusting that beyond the dizzying colors and impossible shapes lies something worth the effort. The emeralds shine brightest in those hidden realms, cradled by chaos and mystery. And Sonic, more than anyone else, has the heart to find them there. If the special stages are gateways, dreams, or pockets of reality, then one of their most fascinating qualities is how they never stay the same. With each new game, the experience transforms. If the special stages are gateways, dreams, or pockets of reality, then one of their most fascinating qualities is how they never stay the same. With each new game, the experience transforms, reshaping itself into something both familiar and alien. And yet, no matter how they change, they always retain that dreamlike aura, that feeling that Sonic has stepped into a place apart from the ordinary world. The first special stage most players ever encountered appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog, 1991. Picture it. Sonic reaches the end of an act with enough rings, leaps into a shimmering giant ring, and suddenly the rules of the world dissolve. Gone is the grounded landscape of Green Hill Zone. Instead, the player finds themselves in a rotating labyrinth of dazzling colors. The walls spin, the gems twinkle, and Sonic tumbles through a gravity-defying maze as though he's floating in a kaleidoscope. For many, this was a startling experience. It wasn't just a bonus stage. It was a surreal dream sequence where the world behaved according to its own strange rhythm. The spinning backgrounds gave the impression that Sonic had fallen into a hypnotic trance, the music pulsing with a slow, otherworldly quality. To a child playing in the early 90s, this wasn't just a mini-game. It was a glimpse into a deeper mystery, a moment where the game whispered, "There is more to this world than you can see." Then came Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992, and with it, a dramatic shift in the way special stages worked. Instead of tumbling through abstract mazes, Sonic and Tails found themselves sprinting down a dazzling half-pipe suspended in space. Rings shimmered in patterns, bombs appeared as obstacles, and the challenge became one of rhythm and reaction. This half-pipe stage was iconic, and for many fans, it remains the quintessential special stage. It captured the thrill of speed, translating Sonic's defining trait into a surreal arena. The glowing grids and curving walls looked like they had been pulled from some futuristic simulation. Was this a pocket dimension generated by the emeralds? Was it an illusion projected into Sonic's mind? Whatever the case, it felt like racing through the veins of chaos energy itself. The way the track seemed endless, stretching into neon infinity, made it feel like Sonic was running not in space, but through possibility itself. What's remarkable is how different these two early versions felt, and yet how similar their purpose remained. Both were gateways. Both carried Sonic out of his familiar world and into a trial that tested his focus. And both delivered the same reward, a chance at the coveted Chaos Emeralds. The shapes of the stages changed, but their spirit remained constant. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 1994, took yet another bold turn, introducing the now famous Blue Sphere Special Stage. Entered through giant rings hidden across Angel Island, these stages transported Sonic into a checkerboard grid that seemed infinite. The player's task was to transform red spheres into blue ones, creating patterns while avoiding mistakes. On the surface, it seemed like a puzzle, slower, more methodical than the frantic half-pipes of Sonic 2. But beneath that puzzle lay something uncanny. The endless grid stretched beyond the horizon, repeating itself like a fractal dream. The background swirled in hypnotic colors, pulsing as if the very fabric of space was alive. To play the blue spheres was to step into a ritual, a test not of speed, but of patience and pattern. The idea that these stages might be ancient gateways feels especially strong here. The checkerboard floors, the hidden logic, the sense of walking on a sacred pattern. It's easy to imagine the blue spheres as the Emerald's oldest form of trial, a geometry left behind by forces long before Sonic's time. And then came Sonic Knuckles, extending the blue sphere legacy even further, making the special stages feel endless. With a lock-on technology, players could generate infinite variations of blue sphere stages, as if the emeralds themselves were spawning endless puzzles from the resonance of chaos energy. To some, it felt like proof that the emeralds were inexhaustible, that their mysteries could never truly be solved, only experienced again and again. Already, across just a few years of games, the special stages had morphed into drastically different shapes. A spinning kaleidoscope, a neon half-pipe, an infinite checkerboard ritual. Each was alien, each was mesmerizing, and yet they all served the same role, holding the emeralds beyond the reach of ordinary adventurers, waiting for Sonic, or those attuned to chaos, to prove themselves worthy. And what makes this variation so enchanting is that it mirrors the theories we've explored. If the special stages are pocket dimensions, it makes sense that they would look different each time, reshaping themselves according to the emerald's energy. If they are illusions, then perhaps each vision reflects Sonic's own mind, changing with every encounter. And if they are ancient gateways, then each new form might be a different door, a different expression of the same universal trial. One thing becomes clear: the special stages resist being pinned down. They are not a single place, or even a single type of space. They are fluid, protean, changing from game to game, while still whispering the same message, that the emeralds are never simply handed over. They must be earned through trials that exist outside the flow of ordinary time. After the neon rush of Sonic 2 and the ritual patterns of Sonic 3 Knuckles, the special stages took yet another surprising form in Sonic CD 1993. Here, instead of spinning labyrinths or infinite grids, Sonic found himself in wide-open arenas, chasing UFOs across surreal landscapes. The visuals were playful yet strange: pastel skies, checker-patterned grounds, and bizarre floating platforms. Time seemed to bend in these stages. The UFOs glided smoothly ahead while the timer ticked down like sand in an hourglass. For players, the feeling was unique. These special stages didn't ask you to survive a gauntlet or solve a puzzle. They asked you to chase, to pursue fleeting targets before they slipped away. The UFOs themselves almost felt symbolic, like phantoms of the Emerald's energy, always dancing just out of reach. Catching one felt like seizing a dream before it faded. A reminder that chaos energy was not just a treasure to be claimed, but a force of motion, of pursuit, of persistence. The fact that Sonic CD tied its special stages to the quest for time stones added another layer of mystique. These were not the same Chaos Emeralds we had come to know. They were different relics tied to time itself, and the stages reflected that. With their shifting textures and fleeting UFOs, they felt like time slipping through your fingers, an illusion you could only hold on to by racing fast enough. Many players describe them as some of the most dreamlike special stages in Sonic's history, equal parts frustrating and enchanting, like trying to catch fireflies in a twilight meadow. Then, in 1996, Sonic 3D Blast gave us something entirely new. Its special stages, at least in the Sega Saturn version, invited Sonic onto a twisting crystalline pathway suspended in space. The track undulated like a ribbon, glowing with colors that seemed alive. Here, Sonic had to collect rings while dodging hazards, advancing closer to the Chaos Emeralds one step at a time. Compared to the earlier special stages, these felt more futuristic, almost like stepping into a cosmic highway. The sparkling path suggested that Sonic wasn't just entering a pocket world, he was running along a channel of raw chaos energy, a road built by the universe itself. The Saturn's smoother graphics added to the dreamlike quality, with shimmering light effects and atmospheric music that seemed to echo from beyond the stars. For many, these special stages embodied the feeling of ascending, of climbing not a staircase of stone, but one made of energy and starlight. And then came the leap into true 3D with Sonic Adventure, 1998. Interestingly, the classic concept of special stages was set aside here. Instead of leaping through giant rings to find hidden dream worlds, the emeralds were woven into the story itself. They were central artifacts, placed in temples and altars rather than tucked away in kaleidoscopic mini-games. Some fans were disappointed by this absence, but in a way, Sonic Adventure's choice deepened the sense that special stages were never fixed. Sometimes the emeralds themselves called to Sonic directly, without needing gateways. Still, Sonic Adventure did give us a taste of special stage energy in its subgames and in the atmosphere of the ancient ruins. Walking through the Temple of the Emerald in Mystic Ruins or unlocking Tikal's visions of the past felt like stepping into a living special stage. The world slowed down, the colors glowed, and reality itself seemed to bend around the presence of the emeralds. Then came Sonic Heroes, 2003, which revived the special stages in a playful, carnival-like form. Here, players guided their team down colorful tubes, collecting orbs while racing against time. The visuals were bright and cheerful, almost like pinball machines, and yet beneath the carnival flair, there was still that familiar strangeness. The tube stretched into infinity, the colors swirled without logic, and the emeralds waited at the end like prizes in a cosmic fairground. These special stages divided fans. Some saw them as too light-hearted, too simple compared to the mysteries of the past. But in their own way, they captured something true about chaos energy, its unpredictability. Sometimes the emeralds manifest in solemn rituals. Sometimes they shimmer in timeless grids. And sometimes they hide inside dreamlike races that feel like a child's imagination come to life. It's this unpredictability that makes the special stages endlessly fascinating. With each new Sonic game, they reshape themselves, refusing to be pinned down. In Sonic CD, they became UFO chasers through warped time. In 3D Blast, they became crystalline roads in the cosmos. In Sonic Heroes, they became carnival dream tubes where speed and timing mattered most. The question then becomes, why do they change? Are they shaped by the Emerald's will, presenting a new kind of trial each time? Are they illusions that reflect Sonic's own growth, reshaping themselves according to his journey? Or are they simply glimpses into different facets of the same greater mystery? The way light refracts through a gemstone, showing a new color each time you turn it. Whatever the answer, the effect is the same. Every special stage, no matter how different, feels like a continuation of the same dream. A dream that began in 1991 with a spinning kaleidoscope, and that continues to shift and shimmer across each new chapter of Sonic's story. As Sonic's adventures leapt onto handheld consoles, the special stages followed, reshaping themselves into new forms that reflected both the hardware and the changing vision of the series. And even though the graphics were simpler, the sense of mystery remained strong. On the Sega Game Gear and Master System versions of the early Sonic games, the special stages took the shape of colorful mazes and ring-collecting challenges. They were less elaborate than their Genesis counterparts, but they carried a similar air of otherworldliness. In these simpler versions, Sonic's dreamlike journeys felt more like hidden playgrounds, shimmering with bright colors, floating platforms, and soft music that set them apart from the more grounded main stages. For players who grew up with those versions, these special stages had their own magic, like smaller dreams spun from the same fabric as the grander ones on the Genesis. Then came the Nintendo handheld era, with Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush. In Sonic Advance 2, for example, Sonic entered special stages by collecting hidden rings that transported him into pseudo 3D worlds. There he would chase after rings and dash through shimmering courses that felt like simplified versions of Sonic 2's half-pipes. The GBA's bright colors made them feel playful, yet still detached from the normal zones. The dreamlike quality persisted, even if the forms were stripped down by technical limitations. Sonic Rush on the Nintendo DS pushed this further, giving us special stages that fully embraced the dual screens. Once again, Sonic raced through half-pipe-style arenas, using the stylus to guide him. The controls may have been different, but the feeling was familiar. Running endlessly forward, chasing rings and dodging hazards in a tunnel that seemed to stretch into infinity. The stylus controls added a strange intimacy to the experience. You weren't just pressing buttons, you were literally guiding Sonic with your hand, almost like steering him through a dream corridor. Then, on the Wii, Sonic Colors reimagined the special stages once more. In the DS version of the game, they returned as first-person tunnel chases where Sonic dashed toward glowing spheres, avoiding obstacles along the way. The sensation was disorienting, but mesmerizing. You weren't just watching Sonic run, you were pulled into his perspective, flying through a vortex of neon light. These stages felt closer than ever to stepping directly into Sonic's shoes, sharing his dizzying perspective as he raced through another dimension. What's striking about all of these handheld and portable variations is how they reinforced a single theme. The emeralds are never given up easily. Whether it's a half-pipe, a tunnel, or a surreal race, Sonic always has to chase, to strive, to push forward into worlds that feel detached from the ordinary. Even when technology limited how wild these stages could look, the designers always found ways to make them distinct, shining brighter, twisting more strangely, pulsing with energy that marked them as spaces apart. Moving into the modern era, Sonic Generations 2011 gave us something nostalgic yet new. Its special stages, specifically in the 3 deciseconds version, return to the idea of chasing UFOs, much like in Sonic CD. Only this time, the environments were richer, the visuals sharper, and the sense of scale greater. It felt like a deliberate nod to Sonic's history, reminding players that the emeralds have always hidden in elusive, dreamlike pockets of space. The UFO chase was not just a gameplay choice. It was a statement that some parts of Sonic's dreamscape never fade. They simply return in new forms. Later still, in Sonic Lost World 2013, the special stages appeared through gyroscope controls, asking players to tilt and turn their handheld devices to collect spheres. The concept divided fans, but the underlying idea was consistent. The emeralds pull you into trials that feel unfamiliar, requiring new ways of thinking and moving. Even if the controls felt unusual, the experience once again reinforced the core mystery. These aren't just extra levels, they're challenges that bend not just the rules of Sonic's world, but even the way we as players interact with it. And then came Sonic Forces 2017, a game that omitted special stages entirely. Some players felt the absence keenly. Without them, something seemed missing, as though part of Sonic's dream language had gone silent. And that absence made one thing clear. Special stages, for all their shifting forms, had become a defining rhythm of Sonic's adventures. When they vanish, it feels like a door has been closed, leaving us on the outside of a mystery we've grown used to glimpsing. Across handhelds, consoles, and generations, the special stages have proven one thing. They are endlessly adaptable. They bend to the technology of their time, always finding new shapes, new rules, new illusions. And yet, despite these differences, they never lose their identity. The music may change, the visuals may warp, the controls may vary, but the essence remains. These are places apart, where Sonic enters the unknown to chase after the brightest treasures of his world. And that adaptability is what keeps the fascination alive. If the special stages always look the same, they might lose their dreamlike power. But because they shift, sometimes playful, sometimes eerie, sometimes dizzying, they always surprise us, reminding us that the emeralds are never bound to a single path. They exist outside of time, and so do their guardians. As we step back from this whirlwind tour through Sonic's history, one thing becomes clear. No matter how different the special stages may appear, they are united by a deeper rhythm. Whether it's the hypnotic tilting labyrinth of Sonic 1, the neon race tracks of Sonic 2, the kaleidoscopic time bending of Sonic CD, or the portable chases on Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, every version carries the same essential purpose. They are doors to mystery, places set apart, challenges that whisper to the player, "This is not the waking world, but a dream you must master to claim the impossible." And it's here that the variations themselves become part of the magic. Each generation of fans grew up with a different vision of what the special stages were. For some, they were spinning mazes. For others, endless tunnels. For still others, UFO chases across surreal plains. Ask a longtime Sonic fan to describe a special stage, and you'll see eyes light up with childhood memories. The music looping endlessly, the sense of falling or running in circles, the feeling that you were inside a place you couldn't quite explain. But despite these differences, all the variations point to one shared idea, that the Chaos Emeralds exist beyond normal space. They are not buried in the ground like coins, nor hidden in simple corners of levels. They must be earned by stepping outside the flow of the world, into spaces that feel alien and dreamlike. And perhaps that is the true meaning of their shifting forms. Every special stage is like a dream, constantly reshaping itself depending on when, where, and how it is entered. This dreamlike flexibility mirrors something deeper in the lore of Sonic. The emeralds themselves are artifacts of immense power, connected to chaos, possibility, and transformation. In that sense, it's fitting that the places where we find them are never static. A half-pipe, a spinning labyrinth, a tunnel of light. These aren't just random gameplay ideas. They're expressions of the emerald's very nature. Unpredictable, untamed, and unbound. Fans have long debated whether these shifting forms are meant to represent different dimensions, illusions, or even Sonic's subconscious mind. Some argue that the special stages are simply gameplay mechanics, a way to add variety. But many others, myself included, feel that the consistency of their strangeness suggests something more deliberate. Even when games change drastically in style or tone, the special stages always remain detached, liminal, and otherworldly. That can't be coincidence. It's also worth noticing how music ties all of these variations together. Across the decades, special stage themes have often stood out from the rest of the soundtrack. From the swirling off-kilter tones of Sonic 1, to the triumphant loops of Sonic 2, to the hypnotic trance-like beats of Sonic CD, these songs always set the mood instantly. They tell you, without words, you've left the normal world behind. And in that way, the music itself becomes part of the illusion, part of the dream, reinforcing that sense of drifting somewhere beyond reach. But perhaps the most fascinating thing about the variations is how they echo the player's journey. In many ways, the special stages grow alongside us. As children, they might have felt frustrating or overwhelming, so fast, so dizzying, so strange. But with time, we come to appreciate them differently. They're not just tests of reflexes, they're tests of patience, persistence, and focus. They ask us to believe that the impossible is worth chasing, even if the path is confusing or surreal. And in that way, the variations across games don't divide us. They unite us. Each version is like a different dream of the same truth. The emeralds are waiting in a place just beyond the ordinary, and only those who dare to step into the unknown can claim them. As the franchise continues to evolve, fans often wonder, what form will the next special stages take? Will they return to classic half-pipes? Will they become sprawling open worlds of illusion? Or will they transform into something we've never imagined? A new kind of dream entirely. Whatever comes next, one thing feels certain. The special stages will remain. Because without them, Sonic's adventures would feel incomplete. They're not just bonus levels. They're the heartbeat of the mythos. The liminal spaces that remind us we're not just playing a game, but stepping into a legend. And so, as we close this segment, imagine all those variations lined up across time. The tilting labyrinth, the glowing racetrack, the spinning mazes, the UFO chases, the tunnels of light, all shimmering like fragments of a single, endless dream. Each one different, but all of them leading toward the same prize, the same glowing jewels, the same feeling of awe. The emeralds are always there, waiting beyond the veil, and the special stages are the dreams that carry us to them. So the next time you step into one of these surreal spaces, remember, you are entering a tradition older than you realize. A ritual shared by generations of players, a dream passed down from game to game. And for a few moments, as the music loops and the world warps around you, you're not just playing Sonic, you're touching the heart of what makes his world so endlessly magical. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the feeling of drifting, not running, not spinning, not leaping into action, but simply floating. The kind of drifting where the air is calm, the stars glow softly, and the world beneath you begins to blur into colors and shapes that feel both familiar and strange. That is the essence of Sonic's special stages at their most mysterious. They are not simply challenges to be beaten, nor are they only playful distractions. They are dreamscapes, endless in their possibilities, and timeless in their role within Sonic's adventures. When we speak of the endless dreamscape, we're not only describing the visual strangeness of these places, the twisting half-pipes, the checkerboard spheres, the weightless UFO planes. We're describing their effect on us, the players. For many of us, they were the first moments when we realized Sonic's world was larger than it seemed. The regular zones had structure, logic, and landscapes rooted in reality, even if heightened. But the special stages whispered, there is more. More than the green hills, more than the factories, more than even the floating islands. There is something beyond the horizon, beyond the normal flow of the world, something like a dream. And just like a dream, they resist easy explanation. You might recall entering a special stage through a giant golden ring in Sonic 3 Knuckles. The moment Sonic leaps inside, the screen melts into colors, and suddenly you are somewhere else. No loading screen, no explanation, just a transition so smooth it feels like falling asleep mid-step. In that instant, the player joins Sonic in entering a place that doesn't obey ordinary rules. That's why the special stages are so haunting. They never tell us what they are. They simply exist like dreams that arrive uninvited in the night. Some players have described them as liminal spaces, the kind of environments that feel like thresholds rather than destinations. They are the in-between, the hallways of Sonic's subconscious, the echoes of ancient energy, or perhaps even both. Their endlessness isn't measured in size, but in feeling. You can run through a half-pipe and feel as though it stretches forever. You can rotate a maze and feel like it loops back on itself infinitely. You can chase UFOs across floating plains and never quite reach the horizon. The sense of infinity is what makes them unforgettable. And if we treat them as dreamscapes, then we must ask, whose dream are we walking through? Is it Sonic's, shaped by his determination to gather the Chaos Emeralds? Is it the emeralds themselves, projecting a kind of living puzzle into reality? Or perhaps it is ours, the dream of the player merging with the dream of the game. Because every time we enter one of these stages, we are caught between fiction and imagination. We know we are playing, but the sensations, floating, twisting, chasing, linger with a surreal vividness that feels closer to dreaming than gaming. Consider the music once again. In almost every special stage, the soundtrack is hypnotic, looping and repetitive, yet never tiring. It mirrors the way dreams feel, endlessly repeating, like you're circling the same hallways or replaying the same chase until you either wake up or succeed. The music lulls us into that state, guiding us deeper, like a lullaby woven into digital notes. In this way, special stages don't just represent dreams. They create the sensation of dreaming, gently drawing us into a trance as we play. And dreams, of course, are not always easy. They can be confusing, dizzying, even frustrating. Many players remember struggling with the tilting mazes of Sonic 1, where the stage seemed to laugh at you as you fell out over and over. Others recall chasing UFOs in Sonic CD, only to run out of time as the clock ticked mockingly in the corner. These struggles, too, are part of the dreamlike quality. Dreams often present us with challenges that feel impossible, running endlessly, climbing staircases that don't end, chasing things we can never quite catch. The special stages echo that universal experience, translating it into gameplay. Yet, despite the frustration, there's a deep sense of calm hidden in them as well. Because no matter how many times we fail, the dream doesn't end. It loops back, invites us to try again, to learn its rhythms, to move with its strange currents. It's the same way we sometimes revisit recurring dreams in our sleep, learning to face them with more courage each time. And when, at last, you succeed, when you claim that emerald, it feels not just like victory, but like awakening. The endless dreamscape, then, isn't simply about strange colors and impossible physics. It is about that cycle of drifting, struggling, and finally overcoming. It is about the way Sonic's journey mirrors our own human experiences of dreaming, sometimes comforting, sometimes puzzling, but always meaningful in ways that linger long after we wake. The more we think of the special stages as dreamscapes, the more we begin to notice how carefully they balance wonder with unease. Just as in real dreams, beauty and strangeness walk hand in hand. There are moments of awe. The glowing stars, the shimmering crystals, the impossible skies that stretch forever. But there are also moments of tension when the ground beneath Sonic seems to vanish, or the stage spins out of control, or the countdown clock ticks closer and closer to zero. That tension is essential because dreams are rarely just peaceful visions. They are tests, riddles, and journeys. In many ways, the special stages capture what it feels like to chase something just beyond reach. The Chaos Emeralds shimmer at the end of these surreal gauntlets, glowing with promise. They are always close, yet never easy to grasp. And isn't that exactly like the things we often chase in dreams? A door we're trying to reach, a voice we almost hear, a light we nearly touch, only to find it slipping further away each time. The emeralds embody that same sensation, suspended in dream space as the ultimate prize. This idea grows stronger when you notice how often the special stages dissolve without ceremony. Fail, and you fall. The dream ends abruptly. The music cuts off, the colors fade, and suddenly you're back in the waking world of the regular stage. No explanation, no warning, no soft landing. Just as in dreams, waking can be jarring. One moment you're floating through impossible skies, the next you're staring at grass, factories, or lava flows. It's disorienting, and yet it feels right, because that's how dreams are. They end when they end, without our permission. Yet when we succeed, the dream doesn't simply end. It transforms. The emerald is in your grasp. The music swells. And for a brief moment, you feel the joy of accomplishment magnified by the surreal atmosphere. It's not just that you cleared a challenge. It's that you reached the heart of a dream and brought back something real. That is a powerful metaphor, one that resonates deeply. We often dream of things we wish for, and though we can't always bring them into waking life, Sonic's adventures suggest otherwise. In his world, dreams can yield treasures, tangible proof that venturing into the unknown is worthwhile. And isn't that what makes the special stages endlessly fascinating? They straddle the line between illusion and reality. They feel like dreams, but they carry real consequences in the story. Gather enough emeralds, and Sonic gains the ability to transform, to harness power far beyond the ordinary. The dream shapes the waking world. The surreal shapes the real. That relationship is what gives the special stages their timeless allure. Fans have long speculated on this connection. Some believe the special stages exist within the Chaos Emeralds themselves, as if entering one is like diving into the heart of a jewel's imagination. Others suggest that they are dimensions opened by rings, temporary doorways into the emerald's natural habitat. Still others think of them as illusions crafted by the emeralds to test the worthiness of those who seek them. Each theory speaks to the same truth. The dreamscape is endless because it is not bound by rules. It changes, adapts, reshapes itself, just as dreams do. It's no coincidence that many of the special stages resemble patterns we find in human dreaming. The repetition, the surreal colors, the sense of infinite loops, all of these reflect how the human mind drifts in circles while asleep. Have you ever had a dream where you keep running the same path, or circling the same hallways, or chasing the same goal? The special stages capture that feeling perfectly. They translate the logic of dreams into gameplay, creating an experience that feels uncanny, yet strangely familiar. What's more, the dreamlike nature of the special stages makes them deeply personal. Each player experiences them differently. For some, they were moments of joy, symbols of progress. For others, they were sources of frustration, memories of lost lives and missed emeralds. And for many, they were simply unforgettable, impossible to categorize, lodged in memory like half-remembered dreams from childhood. That personal resonance is part of their power. They don't just exist in the game. They exist in our minds, long after we've put down the controller. Perhaps that is why the dreamscape is endless, because it lives on within us. The games may change, the special stages may evolve, but the feelings they create, confusion, wonder, tension, triumph, remain constant. They echo across decades, linking players together in a shared experience of drifting through surreal worlds in search of something greater. And as Sonic continues his adventures, the dreamscape continues to stretch forward. Every new iteration, every new design of special stage adds another layer to the endless dream. Like pages in a dream journal, they stack together into something vast and mysterious, reminding us that the story is never finished. There is always another dream waiting, always another horizon to cross, always another emerald hidden in the mist. If the special stages are dreamscapes, then perhaps they are not simply random illusions, but reflections of something deeper, something tied to destiny. From the earliest days of Sonic's story, the Chaos Emeralds have been described not merely as treasures, but as forces of nature, powerful relics that balance or disrupt the world, depending on how they are used. And when we look at how they are obtained, it begins to feel deliberate, that they are never found lying in plain sight. They are always hidden within dreams, waiting in places detached from the waking world. Think of what this implies. The emeralds are not meant for everyone. They are not scattered like rings or power-ups, free for anyone to pick up. They are locked away in realms that test patience, reflexes, and focus. To reach them, one must leave the ordinary path and enter a space of uncertainty. In other words, one must dream. This has led some fans to suggest that the special stages are more than challenges. They are initiations, trials designed to reveal who is worthy of the emerald's power. When we view them this way, the dreamlike qualities take on new meaning. The floating platforms, the shifting colors, the infinite loops. These are not simply odd design choices, but symbolic barriers. They remind us that the path to destiny is never straightforward. Just as dreams often confuse and mislead, so too do the special stages. You must learn to navigate chaos, to steady your focus in a place where the rules of reality don't apply. And when you finally succeed, the prize is more than just an emerald. It is the proof that you were able to master the dream. The connection to Sonic's own character becomes clear here. Sonic is not just fast, he is persistent. He doesn't give up when the world bends against him. The special stages highlight this aspect of his nature. Anyone can run across Green Hill Zone, but not everyone can endure the surreal patience of blue spheres or the dizzying rotations of the original labyrinth. In these dreamscapes, Sonic's determination is tested as much as the players. The emeralds, then, are not simply rewards. They are affirmations of Sonic's spirit, tangible symbols that he is meant to be their protector. This ties beautifully into the larger lore of Mobius and the civilizations that once studied or harnessed the emeralds. We've seen ruins on Angel Island, strange altars and temples that suggest the emeralds have always been guarded by trials. The special stages may well be echoes of these ancient rituals. Perhaps they are constructs left behind by a forgotten people, or projections of the emeralds themselves, shaped by the chaos energy that flows through them. In this way, the dreamscape is not just endless in space, but endless in time. It stretches backward into history, a legacy of trials passed down across ages. And because dreams are universal, the dreamscape belongs to everyone who touches it. Sonic enters them, but so do Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and even villains like Eggman. Each one must navigate the same strange currents if they seek the emeralds. The dream does not play favorites. It is neutral, offering its challenges to anyone bold enough to step inside. This neutrality makes the emeralds feel even more ancient and mysterious, as though they belong not to one hero or villain, but to the fabric of the universe itself. Another fascinating aspect of the dreamscape is how it blurs the line between personal and collective experience. Every player who has touched a special stage knows the sensation of slipping into that other world. We've all been frustrated by falling out, thrilled by collecting enough spheres, entranced by the music looping endlessly. This creates a strange kind of shared dream. Though we play alone, our experiences link us together, generation after generation. In that sense, the dreamscape really is endless, not just in design, but in memory. It stretches across time and across people, a collective myth we all enter through our screens. This is what elevates the special stages beyond mere bonus content. They are part of Sonic's destiny, yes, but also part of ours. They remind us that the journey is not only about speed or victory. It is about venturing into the unknown, facing the illogical, and learning to find clarity in the middle of chaos. That is why they resonate so deeply. We see our own struggles reflected in them, chasing goals that feel unreachable, stumbling through paths that twist without warning, and finally, after countless attempts, finding success in the very place we thought we would fail. And so, the dreamscape becomes a metaphor not just for Sonic's journey, but for life itself. The emeralds represent our aspirations, glowing just beyond the horizon. The special stages represent the confusing, dreamlike paths we take to reach them, and the endlessness of it all. how the dream continues in every game, in every memory, reminds us that this cycle never truly ends. There is always another dream, another goal, another horizon waiting to be chased. The more we linger on the dreamlike quality of the special stages, the more it feels as though they were never meant to be solved completely. They are puzzles, yes, but also invitations, reminders that there is always something just beyond our grasp. Even after decades of games, the Dreamscape has never fully revealed its nature. It has given us glimpses, variations, and echoes, but never a final explanation. And perhaps that is the point. Dreams rarely give us closure. They leave us with fragments, images, sounds, emotions that stay with us long after waking. The special stages do the same. We may not remember every layout or every obstacle, but we remember the feeling, the tilt of the maze, the sound of the ticking clock, the shimmer of emeralds waiting at the end. Those feelings are what endure, becoming part of Sonic's myth and part of our own memories. And isn't it fitting that Sonic's greatest transformations, supersonic, hypersonic, are born from these dreamlike places? The emeralds he gathers within the dreamscape carry him into states that seem impossible within the waking world. They allow him to transcend limits, to glow with the energy of stars, to move faster than thought. It is as though by stepping into dreams, Sonic taps into the deepest potential of life itself. The dreamscape, then, is not just endless, it is transformative. It changes those who enter it forever. That is why, even when special stages frustrate us, they never truly lose their charm. They are gateways to possibility. They teach us patience, they test our resolve, and they remind us that victory is sweetest when it feels uncertain. Each time we dive into one, we are not just chasing emeralds. We are chasing wonder, the kind of wonder that only dreams can provide. And so, the endless dreamscape remains a cornerstone of Sonic's world. It stretches across generations, across consoles, across eras of design and storytelling. It has shifted and reshaped itself countless times, yet always kept its essence, a place apart, surreal and strange, holding treasures just out of reach. It is endless not only because it loops and bends, but because it continues to live in us. Every time we remember it, every time we dream of running those winding paths again. For Sonic, the dreamscape is destiny. For us, it is memory. Together, they form something eternal. And even if Sega someday decides to reinvent the special stages again, or even set them aside, the idea they represent will never vanish. The dream of the unreachable, the test of the unknown, the glowing promise of something greater that is woven into the heart of Sonic's legacy. So perhaps the special stages are pocket dimensions. Perhaps they are illusions crafted by the emeralds themselves. Or perhaps they are ancient gateways, relics of civilizations long gone. The truth may be all of these things, or none. What matters most is how they feel, like stepping into a dream that never ends, a dream that belongs as much to us as it does to Sonic. And maybe, when we think about it this way, the special stages are not just parts of a game at all. They are little pieces of ourselves, fragments of imagination that remind us what it means to reach for something beyond the ordinary. They whisper the same promise every time we enter. You are closer than you think. Just keep moving. Just keep believing. That is the beauty of the endless dreamscape. It does not need to be solved. It only needs to be experienced again and again by anyone who dares to leap through the golden ring and see where it leads. And so our journey through the mysteries of the special stages comes to a close. Whether they are pocket dimensions, illusions, or gateways to ancient power, one truth remains. They are dreams without end. May their endless colors and sounds stay with you tonight, guiding you gently into dreams of your own. Good night, and may the emeralds always shine softly in your imagination.